Growing up, I always loved to make things, from skimboards to tree houses, lamps to robots. And yes, that is a candle of this thumb. So you might find it strange to know that at age 17, when a family friend said I should be an engineer, I had literally no idea what they were talking about. The only thing I could think of was like a car mechanic. Even my high school career advisor said I should be an actuary. Yeah, I didn't have an idea what that was either. Something to do with risk, but not in a fun way. It had never occurred to me that I could be involved in designing something as a career. That all changed when I went to my first makerspace, Fab Lab Manchester. And if you're sitting there thinking, what on earth is a makerspace, or a Fab Lab for that matter, don't worry, I felt the same way. They're essentially places of shared equipment and shared knowledge. After a few visits, I'd made this binary watch. It never worked, but it didn't matter. I was hooked. And I would go again every Saturday for the next 6 years. I would make things for family and friends until they asked me to stop and teach other people. And later on, ended up developing products that helped millions of young people how to code. For my talk today, I'd like to talk about how we encourage young people into sustainability and Makerspace's role within that mission. So to start, hands up in the room, who loves their job? Okay, well, I think that might be a biased sample set, but a YouGov poll shows that 17% of British workers love their job. So thankfully, TEDx audiences are 100 people. That would be 83 of you not loving your job. I feel like that's something that has to change. This is a problem we work on every day in our space, the Making Rooms in Blackburn. We open to the public for free every weekend. Got laser cutters, 3D printers, ceramics, textiles. People can make whatever they want, so long as it's not a weapon. And during the week, we train other organizations, we help people start businesses. I'll always remember one of our visitors coming to us saying, I didn't realize how much I hated my job until I came here. But not all of our visitors are adults. We have lots of young visitors every week and work experience students. How do we set them out on the right track? Especially as they come to us saying, wait, you do this as a job. And I like to remind them how lucky they are, because my work experience was at a bank. So how do we help? Well, probably unsurprisingly, I think makerspaces might help. So it's probably fairly redundant at this point to say, I love my job. Probably more than anyone should. I love it so much that over the last 15 years of holidays, I've been to over 50 makerspaces. Each time, people take me around, talking to me about the impact they have and their members, gaining insights and experiences. I've noticed a growing trend in these spaces being used to tackle huge problems and train people in sustainability. A great example of this was during the COVID-19 pandemic, when people designed visors and shared them with tens of thousands of makers across the world, helping to support their local communities. But what's the end goal here? How can makerspaces and makers help in more prolonged crises that we find ourselves in? Well, you might have heard statistics such as 65% of the jobs that primary school children will hold don't exist yet. And obviously AI is increasing this. But there is a set of jobs that we know we will need. Jobs in sustainability. So how do we inspire young people into these jobs? Well, I'll give you some examples. Precious Plastics was a master's project by Dave Hacken in the Netherlands. Simple idea of designing and open sourcing plastic recycling machines, like a shredder, injection molding machine, sharing them with the world. There's now thousands of these machines out there helping local communities. And they've realized a great potential, taking a waste material that's damaging to the environment and turning it into local products that are more valuable than if they'd been used with fresh plastic. A great example of the impact of this was our members Gareth and Seren, who were 8 and 4 when they first visited the lab. They got involved in everything, from coding in electronics to laser cutting, 3D printing. But the really life-changing moment was when they heard about precious plastics. And we told them about a YouTube channel called Brothers Make. Go look it up, they're great. They show how to recycle plastic at home without the big, heavy, expensive equipment. So they went home and immediately started recycling plastic. And after a small zero-interest loan, £50 from the bank of mum and dad, they'd made their first coaster. They started selling them, and they'd paid off their loan in the first month. Good business practices there. They're now 14 and 10, and they've had their first major rebrand. They've negotiated deals with politicians, and they've gone on to inspire thousands of young people through the collection points in schools, sports clubs, and scout groups. What I love about Gareth and Seren's story is this idea of small interventions at an early age can really change the trajectory of what a young person can do with their life. So Gareth and Seren have got the plastics problem sorted. We can leave them to that. What's next? Well, when I was Gareth's age, my friend's Xbox broke, completely kaput, nothing. So I bought it off him for £20. I knew it was broken. I thought, I can do this. I've got this. So I very carefully ignored all of the warning labels when I opened it up. I understood one of the languages, several I didn't. I had no idea what I was doing, but I looked and I soldered around, put it back together, and it worked. The subtext is I got extremely lucky, and I went on to try and repair a lot of things that otherwise were working just fine before I got to them. So how could we bring repair to our community in a more structured way than that? Well, we looked at other spaces, repair cafes. We talked to our community, and we realized that companies pay a lot of money to have their old laptops disposed of. So we started training volunteers to restore e-waste laptops and donate them to digitally excluded people. I love every part of that sentence. One such volunteer was Mohammed Talha, who at 13 became our youngest laptop repairer. The issue when you're teaching repair is that everyone could have a different device. Each device could be broken in a different way. It's really difficult to do a one-to-many workshop. And also, you could have one of your future expert repairers taking a MacBook and turning it into an expensive, over-engineered paperweight. We needed a way of standardizing repair, making it easy and gradual, but also, if the person learned how not to fix something, it wasn't the end of the world. So we worked with Lancaster University and developed Replay. It's basically like a broken Game Boy. We've progressed from making things that don't work by mistake to making them part of our development goals. But the idea isn't broken. Starts with something simple like replacing a fuse or even putting batteries in. Some young people haven't done. And they can play a game like Flappy Bird because it's just one button, you just mash. If you want to play anything else, you have to fix more things. Solder a wire, fit a component. Each time unlocking new games. We gave it to one of our volunteers, and the very next week she was genuinely replacing her first fuse. We took the idea to the young people, and they loved it. They started repairing it. They found some issues that were unintentional with our prototype. That's okay, all part of the process. Obviously, starting the session, having to explain what a Game Boy was, made us feel rather old. But they went on to give us loads of ideas of how we could break it and they could fix it. I love that way round, because usually they're breaking things and we're fixing them in our lab. They came up with ways to personalize it, making repair an act of customization. So the kids have got repair covered too. What's next? Well, working with Salford University, we wanted to explore sustainable materials and housing practices. And we came up with this card game like Top Trumps, if you've ever played it, where you'd wager the sustainability credentials of one building material versus another. Sounds fun, right? But just imagine it. A room full of 9-year-olds talking about the thermal insulation properties of cross-laminated timber or the CO2 emissions of polyurethane foam. It was amazing. So we gave the young people some cash for their troubles. It was fake cash, don't worry. But it may as well have been real, because that was easily their favourite part of the workshop. We got them designing their own sustainable homes, paying us back for features like solar panels or air source heat pumps, different types of insulation, and awarded points for things like biodiversity and coming up with their own ideas, like grass roofs. Clearly someone's seen The Hobbit. The purpose of the programme was to inspire young people into university and education and these sustainability careers. You can imagine how I felt when we had a team call themselves the engineers, knowing that they've learned that word a decade younger than I was. It was amazing. So how do we get these ideas out there? Well, like during the pandemic, we need to connect makers and makerspaces together and share these ideas. We have a bit of a saying in our lab: so long as it's happening in the town, it doesn't have to be us. What that means is, if we can support another organisation to do what we do, brilliant, we'll do it. We'll go find some other idea, do that, keep on doing that process. That's why we supported Blackburn Youth Zone to set up the first making zone, dedicated to young people, and have since helped another 5 across the country, sharing ideas with each other. We're working with more university researchers to set up a UK network of hubs. But of course, sustainability is a global issue. How do we go further afield? Well, we joined the European Creative Hubs Network, and we share our ideas with their hubs, and they share theirs with us. And Gareth and Sarah have even given talks and taught a rural hub in Spain how to recycle plastic with their 100 villagers. Over the years, we've dragged our machines into a muddy field in South Manchester, not just for fun. We would exhibit and do activities at the Science and Music Festival, Blue Dot. And the festival gets its name from this image, the pale blue dot, taken on the year I was born by the Voyager 1 spacecraft. 6 billion kilometres from Earth. It has to be kilometres, metric. Carl Sagan of the Voyager team said of the image, "The Earth is the only world known so far to harbour life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for now, the Earth is where we make our stand." I believe ideas from this vibrant red dot will let young people stand up for their pale blue one. Thank you.